Okay, so as we wait for them to prepare themselves, I'll begin the today's meeting. So thank you everyone who's here today. We appreciate your attendance, and we hope that this meeting is going to be productive. So I'll be walking you through FarmCloud and its components and the new features that we had developed. Um, Everyone can be familiar with what we had recently developed. So please, as I share my screen. Okay, so kindly if I can get a thumbs up if you're able to see my screen. Okay, perfect. Okay, so this is FarmCloud, and FarmCloud is mostly used for record keeping, for your daily farm activities. So where I'm at currently is on the main dashboard of FarmCloud, whereby you'll see all the components in one section, that being the weather, the total number of employees you have, the crops in production, and the yield that you've gotten, the type of structure you have in your farm, and the financial summary. And beneath here, we have the daily work report. So I'll begin first with showing you the first step, which is going to be under farm assets, which is farm elements. So on farm element, we pretty easy subsection. Basically, it's just for you to indicate the type of structure you have in your farm. So if you have a greenhouse, if you have a screen house, if you have a shade net, or if you have an open field, under farm elements is where you record that information. So just to show you guys how the report for adding an element to your farm looks like. So on the top right corner, there is a green rectangular box indicated as add a greenhouse. So it's as easy as you giving it a name, whichever name you're comfortable with. You can call it greenhouse one. You indicate the type of material the greenhouse is, if it's metallic or wooden. You also indicate the size. Dependent on the size you have, we can use an illustration of 240, and then you add. So it's as easy as that when it comes to adding the type of structure you have in your farm. So after adding the type of structure you have in your farm, the next step is usually indicating the type of crop that you're growing in that specific farm. So first things first is you will have to tap on the name of the greenhouse. When you tap on the name of the greenhouse, there's this option for you to add a plant. And on this report is as easy as you selecting the type of plant that you're growing, select the specific variety. So immediately you select the plant, and the system will automatically give you the varieties available for that specific plant. Let me show you an illustration. So immediately you select the plant, the system will give you the variety. There's also a section for you to include the quantity of seeds or seedlings that you use at the beginning of the planting process. You also indicate the planting date and what you project to be the estimated harvest. After that, you add that information. So the system will record that in greenhouse A, you're growing green grams, and that's the specific variety, and it was added on a specific date. So if you were to use this as an illustration, you'll see that in greenhouse one, you're growing capsicum, and the plant variety is Sona, and it was added on that specific date. And just to a point to note to everyone, if you might have a question while I'm presenting, please feel free to, you can raise your hand, or you can throw a question in the Q&A. I will be more than happy to address your questions. So after indicating the type of structure you have in your farm, the next step is usually indicating the stock, the initial stock of fertilizer you had in your farm. So this is actually one of the most easiest reports to take note of. So it's as easy as you adding that fertilizer. So you'll select the fertilizer name. You will select the supplier dependent on who exactly you bought that fertilizer from. You'll indicate the quantity you had bought. So we can see, for example, 70 kilograms. So we have this section for minimum quantity alert. So this is just to help you not to be caught off guard when your fertilizer has run out. It will help. It will rather alert you to restock your fertilizer. So we can have 5 kilograms as the minimum quantity alert, and now you indicate how much you bought that fertilizer for. So we can go roughly with 3,500, and then we add that report. So for fertilizer and agrochemicals, they are more like the same thing. The same step you'll do for fertilizer is the same step you'll do for agrochemical. The report is the same. So in this case, as you can see for this specific agrochemical, you can see that it's indicating low. So whenever your fertilizer or agrochemical reaches the minimum quantity alert, it's going to turn in red, and it is going to alert you for you to restock the fertilizer. Okay, so if we can proceed, after indicating the structure, indicating the type of plant that you're growing in that specific structure, after also indicating the initial stock of fertilizer and agrochemical you have in your farm, the next step is usually recording the daily work activities that you do, from fertilizer application, from scouting, from irrigation, to the pre-harvest report, to the harvest report as well. So if I can just take you through the daily work reports. So on the daily work report, just like I had mentioned, is all the activities you do on a regular in your farm, which includes fertilizer application. If I can show you how the report looks like. So what you'll have to do first is you have to indicate the specific structure, or rather the element you have in your farm that you're applying that fertilizer to. In our case, we had greenhouse 1. We'll select the plant variety, the stage is planting, fertilizer name, the date of application, the time of application, the quantity you applied for. We can go with 2, and the method of application. We can go with broadcasting, and then you add. So for fertilizers and agrochemicals, the same step you'll do for fertilizer is the same step you'll do for agrochemical. So after agrochemical, we have the next daily work report, which is the scouting report. So for scouting is just basically what you see while in your farm. And yeah, let me give you an example of how the report is supposed to look like. So for scouting report, the same step that we had done for fertilizer and agrochemical, you will have to indicate the structure you have in your farm. In our case, which is a greenhouse, you select the plant variety, you also select the planting stage, and you'll give a brief description of what exactly you saw. So probably you can indicate you saw uh, plants affected with aphid and yellowing of leaves. And then on the scouting report, it's a bit different compared to the other reports, since you have an option to add an image. So you can add a supporting image to indicate what exactly you had described that you saw while scouting in your farm. So the next bit we have is the manual irrigation. So in this case, any irrigation that you'll have to do in your farm manually, this is the report that you have to fill. But just to let you guys know, as Cinefa, we do have a device known as FarmShield, and FarmShield takes part in automating irrigation. So if you have FarmShield, you wouldn't have to indicate this report, since FarmShield will definitely automate irrigation for you. But just to walk you through the manual irrigation report, the same thing that we've been doing, you indicate the structure you have, select the plant variety again, stage or the planting stage, the date of irrigation, the time of irrigation, and also you have to indicate the duration you irrigated for. So we can go with an estimate of 120 minutes. And then you also have to indicate the quantity. So in liters, how much water did you use? So we can go with roughly 50 liters. Method used, we can go with sprinkling, and then you add. So when it comes to the daily work reports, the more you do it, the more repetitive it comes, or rather, the more easier it becomes. So after manual irrigation, we have the pre-harvest section. So for the pre-harvest section, it's a bit unique compared to the other reports. Let me show you the report. Okay, so for the pre-harvest report is a bit unique compared to the other reports, since you'll have a checklist. Um, kind of report. This is just to help you gauge yourself to see if you're actually ready for the harvesting season. So same thing that we've been doing. You'll have to indicate the structure you have in your farm. Again, select plant variety, and in this case, the stage will definitely change. We'll go with harvesting stage. You also select the date of the date that you're recording this report. And then in this bit where you have the checklist. So we require you to answer it truthfully, at least for you to see if you're actually ready, or is there something you actually need to correct before you can consider yourself ready for harvesting. So that's just it when it comes to the daily work reports. I believe the next step I'd love to walk you through, actually my favorite report, is the harvest report. So for the harvest report, you will now indicate the what actually did you get when harvesting. So if I can walk you through the reports, same step that we were doing. You indicate the structure in your farm. You select the plant variety. You change the stage, which is going to be harvesting. Date is mandatory as well. You also to indicate the time that you harvested. The next step is usually you indicating the total number, the total harvest you got from that specific season. So we can go with an estimate of 100 kilograms. We have a section for rejected harvest and harvest lost in transit. So if by any chance the crop that you're dealing with doesn't necessarily fall under this category, that's fine. You can just proceed with adding. But if you experience any rejected harvest or harvest lost in transit, we have that section for you. So we can go with rejected harvest, an estimate of 10 kilograms, and harvest lost in transit, we can go with 2 kilograms. And then we add. Okay, perfect. I think I can pause for now after walking you through the farm elements, recording your initial fertilizer stock, and the daily work report. Just if there's any question or you'd love me to walk you through something, feel free to let me know. Okay, so I can see there's a hand raised. Let me.
Oh, hi, Stacy. So we have a question.
So I'm just muted.
Hey, Stacy, you can hear me?
Okay, so if you can proceed, I can see that Sheila has posted a question, and she's asking what's the best plan for a group of farmers. Okay, so Sheila, I'll walk you through that section. We have plans that are suitable for a group of farmers whereby you have many plants, many farms rather, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'll walk you through that section and the various plans that we have for FarmCloud. Okay, probably if I can get a thumbs up if everyone is okay. up till now? Okay, perfect. Okay, so we can proceed with the next feature, which is product and services. This is actually one of the easiest sections of FarmCloud. So product and services, just as the name suggests, you indicate the products and services you have in your farm. But in this case, any product and service that will generate income in your farm. So first things first, definitely harvest. Immediately you record your harvest report, it will automatically be generated under products and services, since the system assumes that harvest is part of the income in your farm. So other than harvest, any product you have in your farm, if you list your farm tools, that being tractors, if there's any farm tool that you lease out and you get income from it, you record it under products and services. If you're a part-time agronomist and you sell out your services to other farmers, you also include that under product and services. And just to show you, this is how the report looks like. Very easy. You indicate the product name, if it's a tractor that you're leasing out. And then we have this section of, is it an asset, is it a service, or is it a product? And the unit of measurement. So if it was probably agronomic support, you can go with hours as your unit of measurement. Also tractor, we can go with hours as the unit of measurement. And for description, we can go with something simple as list my tractor, and then you add that report. So for products and services, it's as easy as that. Have the name, select the product type, unit of measurement, and description. Okay, so after product and services, the next bit I'd love for us to cover is on the accounting part of FarmCloud. So actually on the accounting part of FarmCloud, we have some of the sections which were recently developed. And yeah, so before I can actually proceed on the accounting bit, I had a poll question for you guys. If you can just interact with it so that I can know where we're at. So I've shared the poll. Please feel free to interact. Okay, I'm seeing majority of you haven't interacted with the invoicing features. Okay, perfect. So we are at, okay, the poll has changed. So we are at yes, for those who have interacted with the invoicing features, at 40% and no at 60%. But no need to worry, after this session, you will have an idea on how to maneuver the invoicing features. So with FarmCloud, we have developed these accounting features rather than you depending on other sources, that being paper, writing it down, memorizing, using Excel sheets. We have the invoicing features incorporated in FarmCloud. So every income you experience in your farm, any income you get in your farm, any buyers you interact with, we have you sorted out in this platform. So for the invoicing features, the part I'd love for us to begin with is the buyers section. So in the buyers section, just as the name suggests, is you indicating the buyers you have, or rather the buyers you have business with. So if I can if I can show you how the platform looks like. So for the buyer's report, first things first, you have to indicate the currency. So depending on the currency you deal with, if you're in Kenya, you'll have Kenyan shillings. Whichever country you're in, it's all catered for. So you'll indicate the currency. So you can have Kenyan shillings. You can have the first name of the buyer. We can go with Joe. So company name, it's subjective. If it applies, fine, you can indicate. If it doesn't, that's totally fine. So you indicate the buyer's email. You indicate the buyer's phone number as well. So this to the fax and the website is optional. If it applies, feel free to indicate. So you also have to indicate the buyer's address, the street address, the country they're in. So let me just fill that in. You select the country. City is Nairobi. Postal code, which is and then we have this section for notes and attachments. So if there's anything that will be special about your buyer, probably if you have their license, if you have their ID, you can feel free and attach it on the notes and attachment. Or if there's anything special you'd want to indicate, probably you can say that this specific buyer for tomato. And then we have this section for payment terms. So the first option for payment term is the invoice period. So how long does it take before the buyer can remit the payment? So we can go with an estimate of 7 days, and the payment method, if it's cash, if it's M-Pesa, or if it's a bank transfer. So we can go with bank transfer, and we add. And you'll find the information of our buyer has been populated. And that's how the report looks like for that specific buyer. So that's just it when it comes to the buyer's information. It's pretty easy to get a hang of. So after you have indicated the buyer, the next step is usually income. So considering we've indicated that Joe Kenneth is our buyer for capsicum, so when it comes to the point where Joe makes a payment to us, you'll come to income to record that payment information. So when you tap on income, you have two options. One is receive payments and one is add an invoice. So first things first you have to do is to issue an invoice first. So when you tap on add an invoice, so if you have an invoice number, well and good, you can indicate the specific invoice number. If you don't, the system will automatically input that information for you. And the next step is to indicate the date that you're issuing this payment. And then you'll have to select the specific buyer. And in our case, our buyer is Joe Kenneth. And then you'll have to select the product. So this was the product that we had inputted in the system. So rates now is how much are you selling that product for? So we can go with 100 shillings. And quantity initially we had, let's go with 300. So this specific buyer owes us 30,000 Kenyan shillings. So payment details, you can indicate payments to be made through bank. And you can just also indicate some short notes if need be. After indicating the payment details and also the notes, the next section is on the subtotal. So despite giving you the how much the buyer owes you, you have this section for discount. So you can either have it in percentage or in cash. So if you want to have it in percentage, you want to give them in a certain percentage, that's fine. You can select percentage. But if you want cash, you go with the cash option. So for today, we'll go with cash and see a discount of, let's say, 500 shillings. That's enough. Yeah. So after including the discount, the buyer will owe us 29,500, and then we add. So doing so, the invoice has been issued. So after issuing the invoice, that doesn't guarantee that payment is there, you have to confirm receive payment for it to be considered as paid, because the status will remain issued since payment hasn't been confirmed that it was received. So you tap on receive payments. It's easiest, you will select the specific buyer, which is Joe Kenneth. You indicate the amount received, in our case, which is 29,500, which is going to be bank transfer. You select the invoice. After selecting the invoice, you save and close. Okay, so after you save and close, it's indicating partially. Okay, so okay, we'll go back to receive payments, Joe Kenneth. Okay, so on the invoicing, so for the invoice, for that money to be indicated on the financial summary, after issuing the invoice, you have to record that the payment was successfully received. Okay, so for I think that's it when it comes to the invoicing features. It's products and services, buyers, and then we have income. So I think probably I can leave it up to you guys in case there's any question when it comes to the invoicing features. Okay, if there's no questions, a thumbs up will be highly appreciated. Okay, perfect. So after the invoicing features, the next bit I want us to cover under accounting is going to be expenses. So expense, just as the name suggests, any cost that you incurred during your planting process or rather in your farm in general. So under expenses, we have two sections. We have general expense and we have element specific expense. So under general expense is, as the name suggests, generally what expense do you incur in your farm? So if I can show an example. So under general expense, we have things like electricity, we have insurance, we have water bill, we have salaries. So depending on the specific expense you'll incur generally in your farm, this is the section to put that information. So you'll select the category. If it is salaries, supplier, it's definitely going to be used. So we'll go with other. Cost incurred, we can go with an estimate of 300,000. Um, Method of payment, bank transfer. And for expense, you have to attach a proof of payment. Otherwise, the report will not successfully be added. And then you give a brief description, paid salaries to my farm workers. So that's just it when it comes to the general expense. The next bit is on the element specific expense. If you can remember when I was beginning, I indicated that farm element, you indicate the type of structure you have in your farm. So if probably you have a greenhouse and you also have an open field, so where to indicate expenses for each and every element is on the element specific expense. So the type of expense you might experience in a greenhouse might not be the same type of expense you'll experience in an open field. So when you same thing, you'll tap on add expense, but in this case it's under element specific expense. You select this expense category. So we can go with seeds and seedlings. You select the farm element, in our case was greenhouse one. You select the supplier, you can go with Cinefa. the costing card, you can go with 3,000. Method of payment, bank transfer, and then you give a brief description. Same thing with the general expense. The report won't be successfully added if you don't attach a supporting document. So that's it when it comes to the expense and the accounting bits. I hope everything is clear up until now. Okay, perfect. I got some few thumbs up. So the next bit of FarmCloud I want us to cover is going to be on the satellite, weather and satellite section. Okay, so under weather and satellite section, let me just have a boundary available. So under weather and satellite section, so weather and satellite works best for an open field structure. And soon we will be integrating the smart device I was telling you about and FarmShield with FarmCloud for controlled environments like greenhouse so that you as well can be able to monitor your controlled environment if it's a greenhouse through FarmCloud. So what weather and satellite does is that it gives you real-time and historical data, enabling you to monitor your crops remotely. So let me just have one boundary available. So in order for you to take advantage of this feature on FarmCloud, first you need to plot the farm boundary. So it's pretty easy. You'll select the location of your farm. After selecting the location of your farm, there are some easy instructions on how to draw the farm boundary. After drawing the farm boundary, you will have something similar to this. So as you can see here, we have weather and satellite. So for weather, you will get weather forecast that being hourly, daily, and historically. And for historical weather forecast, you can future date it back up to 1 year. So if I can show you how it looks like. So from the weather data, you're going to get the maximum temperature, minimum temperature, and the precipitation levels, as well as the wind speed. And also something I failed to mention is going to be once you've plotted your farm boundary, apart from the temperature levels, you will be able to get the soil data. So the soil data that being temperature at the top of the soil and temperature that being 10 centimeters deep and the moisture level in your farm. And also you'll get an estimate of the area that you have plotted. This just helps you to gauge to see if you've actually plotted well or is the estimate almost accurate. Okay, so that's it when it comes to the weather data. If I can walk you through satellites. So satellite, as the name suggests, is to monitor the healthiness of your crops with the help of these indices. So as you can see, the first index indicated here is the NVI, which stands for Normalized Difference Vegetation Index, which helps you measure the amount of green vegetation in an area. As you can see, it shows the greenness of your farm. The next index we have is the next index we have is DSWI, and DSWI stands for Dry Soil Water Index. So what it does is that it measures the soil moisture levels by analyzing how light reflects off the soil surface. After that, we have the EVI. So EVI stands for Enhanced Vegetation Index. It's similar to NDVI, but it's suited for areas with dense vegetation. The next index we have is EVI2, and EVI2 stands for Enhanced Vegetation Index 2. It's just a simplified version of EVI. It's ideal for areas where satellite data is less comprehensive. After that index, we have the NDWI. So for NDWI, it stands for Normalized Difference Water Index. So it measures the water content in plants and soil. And we have the last one, which is the NRI. NRI stands for Normalized Ratio Index. It evaluates plant health by comparing how light reflects in different wavelengths. So how to use these indices is that for NDVI, EVI, EVI2, the higher the value, it's an indication of a healthier crop. And for DWSI, the higher the value, it suggests that the crop might be experiencing drought stress, and lower value suggests that there is sufficient water in the plants. And for NDWI, higher values suggest more water content. So that's just a brief overview on the weather and satellites. I think I can leave the floor now to you guys in case there's any questions or any inquiries. Feel free to ask. We'll be happy to address them. Naftali, can you hear me? If would you mind if I unmute you and then you pose your question? Okay, so now Naftali was asking, is downloading the FarmCloud app only what we need to get an overdrive gear as far as record keeping and operational efficiency is concerned? Any other cost implications as far as getting the FarmCloud is concerned? Okay, so if I can come again, we have our tech team here. So Naftali is asking, is downloading the FarmCloud app only what we need to get an overdrive gear as far as record keeping and operational efficiency is concerned? Okay, so Naftali will be responding to you in a few. There've just been some few technical issues. Yeah, just bear with us, please. Okay, so in our chat box, I'll be posting the link for registration, And also, in case you're experiencing any difficulties on how to maneuver FarmCloud, I'll also attach a link whereby you can book a demo anytime, and we'll be more than happy to walk you through. And yeah, just 1 minute, please. Okay, so I've shared the link for booking a demo. I'll be sharing the link for the registration shortly. Okay, so just to also let you guys know, so if just as it has been our lingo, if you're a registrant for the webinar, we usually have discounts for you. So whereby you'll get 60% off, sorry, 50% off, pardon, 50% off for the next 6 months. I will be attaching the webinar code on the chat section as well. In the meantime, please feel free to send any question, and also if there's anyone who'd love to give feedback on FarmCloud and how they've been operating FarmCloud, please feel free to raise your hand. We can give you a chance to speak. For the meantime, feel free to share your question on the chat box. So I've posted the link for the demo. I've also posted the link for the registration, and also I've attached the code for the discount, the 50% off discount, which is webinar 50. Yes, that's the code. Probably if we can give one of the participants a chance to speak or probably say hi before we can conclude our meeting. Okay, I can see no participants have raised their hands, but I can see Naftali Collins has answered the question you had. Okay, perfect. Might there be anyone else who has a question?
Hey Stacy.
Mic is unmute. You can proceed to speak.
Hey Stacy, can you hear me?
Okay, I can see Timothy left a message. He gave so Timothy indicated that he's really impressed and he wanted to get much more information. And just before I forget, Sheila had posted a question in regards to the plans that we have for FarmCloud. So just a minute, please. I with you. Okay, so I hope it's visible on your end. So these are the packages we have for FarmCloud. We have the bronze package, which covers one farm, one user only. We have the silver package, which goes for $15 a month, which is three farms included and three users. We have the gold package, which goes for $25 a month, which caters for five farms and five users. And we have the platinum package. So for the platinum package, if you might have a customized request, probably you only have one farm, but you want to have five users, we categorize that under the platinum package. So Shali, I hope that has answered your question. Okay, perfect. Before we can conclude the meeting, is there anyone else who would love to say something before we conclude? Okay, perfect. So I'd urge you guys honestly to take advantage of the demo link that I've posted there. You can feel free to reach out to us and we'll be more than happy to walk you through FarmCloud and also take advantage of the discount option. Um, which is only valid for a few days. So be sure to take advantage of it if you'd love to get on a subscribed version. Other than that, I want to thank everyone who was able to attend our meeting today. And we appreciate you and thank you so much for constantly supporting Cinefa. Wishing everyone a lovely weekend.